Oh good! Androni Giocattoli is going to fine riders who test positive 100,000 euros. How long has self-enforcement not been working? The Armstrong comeback, CSC testing the Schlecks, the Pro Tour ethical charter? Nah, I got you guys all beat with this one.
Back to the Tour though, here is Jan Ullrich in the yellow jersey today, and Ullrich has already said he would welcome any tightening of the dope controls, and in fact his telecom team have offered money to improve the testing.
One of these days I'm going to have to do a whole episode on doping stories, except that Androni piece wasn't really doping, it was really more enforcement, kind of marketing. Mauro Santambrogio testing positive while suspended? It's closer to a doping story, there's a positive test, but is arguing that it shouldn't count because he told the UCI doctor he was going to break the rules ahead of time. I mean, I know Manny Ramirez isn't big in Italy, but by this point, even Cat 3 cross racers know that low normal testosterone isn't something you can get a TUE for. And for the record, pretty much every ED-specific drug is A-OK by WADA standards. So it's not really a doping story so much as the story of a guy who's just not very smart. Riccardo Ricco's latest, definitely not a doping story. This is more a why Cosmo cannot take the book publishing industry seriously story. That or I'm still kind of bitter about Cycle of Lies. Ricco, you'll recall, was very angry he didn't initially get a reduction in suspension for talking after his first positive test. Then he almost killed himself re-injecting bad blood, got kicked out of a bunch of fondos, was arrested buying drugs at McDonald's. But yeah, acting like you care for 7 hours, that's totally worth a 6-year reduction in sentence. Mercifully, the only doping stories in cyclocross now are skillz doping. At Scheldecross, Entertherm BKCP Sana Kant pulled off this ridiculous dab save in the sand, which is just unheard of. She went on to win that one pretty easily, but had a crummy start at Zilvermeer the next day, and ended up finishing third in a 3-up sprint to Rabo's Sabrina Stoltian's "No, Sabrina, not you. Not you. It's a different Sabrina, yeah?" and Telnet Fidea's Ellen Van Looy. Zilvermeer is just a C2, but since it's in Belgium, it got the TV coverage in the high-profile starters over a concurrently running C1 in Switzerland. Eventual third-place Tom Mayusin of Telnet Fidea gave us our money's worth, though, nailing the rut in this sand and then hopping over a barrier, which is about a foot wide and made of concrete. In the end, though, the race was won by Niels Albert. Oh no, that was just an undercard for retired riders, which at 20 minutes still managed to sour the Vascoud Service Golden Palace manager's legs. Not to worry, though, it was his young protege Wout van Aert who won the race. But the real story of the weekend was Corendon Quadro's Laurens Sweeck, who rode aggressively in the early going both days, netting 2 second places despite a flat tire on the last lap at Scheldecross, and where, quite naturally, he lost to the sport's other current young phenom, BKC Power Plus's Mathieu van der Poel. Though it's not unjustifiable to say that the big winner that day was the barriers. Of course, to hear Steve Tilford tell it, everyone here is still doping. Or maybe they aren't. It's a little hard to tell, because he writes kind of unhinged. In a good way, but there definitely seems to be a sense of frustration among his generation that they lost races and roster spots to people who were doping, and that these people are still floating around in the sport. Obviously, I can't really relate to the first part, but when I hear about TJ Van Garderen being motor-paced by Lance Armstrong, there's some resonance to the second. Especially when Van Garderen starts talking about double standards, because, quote, "We accept that Christian Vandeveld can be our commentator, I give interviews to Frankie Andreu, but Lance is the evil guy. Did I say I don't know what it's like to lose work to dope?" Anyway, there's been plenty of fan blowback around CVV and Frankie, but is your implication here really that television networks are the arbiters of right and wrong? The people who realized some of the largest gains from and pumped some of the most fevered hype into the Lance myth? Are you too young to remember the Lance Chronicles?
No, not just any chamois cream will do, right?
No, I've got the one now. I've got the one. But, can't reveal it.
I won't bore you with the litany of reasons why Lance is more than just another doper. If you don't understand why he's being treated differently, it's probably because you don't want to. But what I am going to do is point out that, as you saw in that TV clip, Lance doesn't drop names carelessly. He wasn't just sitting there with an interviewer and, oops, let it slip that he'd be moto-pacing you. He knew there'd be a reaction, he knew what it would be, he could have not mentioned you, but he did it anyway. What I'm saying, TJ, is that your neighbor threw you under the postal bus on this one. Which, I suppose, is still better than being inside of it. I'm Cosmo Catalano, and that was the week in bike.